G'day ladies and gents, welcome to Xrissart. In this painting demonstration I will be using mixed media using high flow acrylics, Aero Colour Professional by Schmincke, fine acrylic inks, specifically made for airbrushing. In addition, you will also see me applying PanPasteles pastel pencils on Pastelmat. This is an IWATA airbrush and has gravity feed dual action, cutaway handle, preset handle and micro control valve. In other words, in layman's terms, it just feels really nice to use. Well, there is a story how I got to use airbrushing in this project. A while back, but not too long ago, I was challenged to use all sorts of mediums that I was not used to and tried to paint some studies projects, things like that. There was a hat full of project ideas written on pieces of paper, and I just so happened to pick out airbrushing. Thought about this one a lot as I was a little scared of it and a little excited about it all at the same time. So what I did, as with all things, went in head first and just went for it. As they say, nothing ventured, nothing gained. So, like I mentioned, I just went for it. Of course, baby steps, and this is my first real project where I'm using an airbrush. So for those airbrushing experts, please go easy on me as I'm trying to find my feet, or shall we say, find my airbrush. The airbrush I'm using is an IWATA HPCH high control of high precision work made in Japan, and I've got to tell you, this is one beautiful piece of equipment. The compressor I'm using is the IWATA Studio series and using 20 psi, which is, I believe, pounds per square inch. Everything about this is set up superbly. It's beautiful quality, and so making the experience all the more wonderful. So moving ahead with this project, the surface I'm using is Pastelmat, anthracite, and the reason I'm using this surface is because apart from the pastel, which I know works wonderfully, I also have applied wet media, which has worked really well in the past. The only thing is that with wet media, this fills the tooth all too quickly. Knowing what I know about Pastelmat and wet media, I would have to be careful when using pastel media on top of the filled-in tooth surface and how that would work. Of course, I was not disappointed. Also, another thing to note is that I'm using masking film by Xrissart, my favourite masking film for this surface. This is low tack, but in hindsight, with this process, I might have been better off if I'd used something a little bit more tacky, but all good. It was okay, but for something to think about in future projects with airbrushing on Pastelmat. I have been asked about the benefits of using airbrush versus PanPasteles, and I'd have to say it's an alternative. As a beginner with airbrush, I was playing with a few things. For example, the different brands, for example, the golden high flow acrylics. You don't need to use airbrush thinner because that has that built in the mixture, whereas the Schmincke Aero color total cover is opaque, and it is very possible that you need a thinner for that. Either way, these two brands that I tried are high quality products and you would benefit from both. Here you see me put a small amount of medium in the little cup as I was testing out how this would be airbrushed. I did this with both brands and I love them both. It's all about playing, and I think this is probably the best way to discover how to operate a medium. Definitely experiment and play. Here you'll see me dipping in or filling in my cup with the golden high flow acrylic inks. I'm only just putting a little bit in and mixing with an air thinner. I'm just testing here, so this is what I'm doing at the moment. I just want to see what I can get away with. The only thing I would advise is always apply light layers of every medium to give you the opportunity to apply layers going forward if you have to. The tools that I'm using on top of the acrylic ink or the airbrushing medium are Eco Tools. The bristle brushes worked really well on top of the surface. As you can see, I'm flicking a little bit of the pan to make stars in the distance. Now you could use the pan, but you could also use, for example, soft pastels, or you could use pastel pencils. Just flicking, and it's a very good way to make stars look in the background. After I've gently dusted little stars in my background there, I'm using now glassine paper to gently press in the pastel to make sure that it actually stays in the tooth. So this is a wonderful little technique that perhaps maybe that you can try for yourself. Also, just to mention and note, I had no problem in applying pan pastel layers on top of the acrylic layers following the pastel pencil layers as well. Always remember to play and try and discover new ways to achieve the outcome you're looking for. My name is Chrissy. Thanks for watching, and keep on keeping on.